Welcome to Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today believes sauces should do more than just taste good. They should bring people together. That's why they won 12 national awards built on passion, purpose, and bold flavors. Please welcome the co-founder of Chickadees Craft Sauces, Rudy Javar. What's going on, Rudy?
How are you, man? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on, man. I truly appreciate it. What's your go-to lunch or sandwich? But then I also want to know is what chickadee sauce are you putting on it?
So my go-to is a Cuban sandwich. So my dad used to work his butt off, and when last minute meals, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, but he used to buy 7-Eleven Cuban sandwiches when they used to press them.
When they were good.
When they were good. And that would be like that snack time awesomeness, and it would just remind me of home. So the cool thing is my next door neighbors are Cuban, and that's how also we started this company, but we'll get there. And now it all ties together. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you were to have that Cuban now, even though obviously back then you didn't, which one of your sauces would you put any of your sauces on it?
Absolutely.
Which one?
The brown habanero mojo.
Yeah, I was going to say that one would hit pretty well.
It hits very well.
All right, so let's talk sauce. I want to know, tell me the origin, like what got you and your wife Kelly to start and want to actually even do Chickadees Craft Sauces?
So the story starts in 2020. COVID happened, and I was working for a major distributor, a food distributor, and through the time, we actually had to reduce paychecks to make sure we maintained the staff so everybody could keep their job. And at the time, we had just moved into a brand new house, and we had a 1 and 2 year old. So taking a pay cut kind of hurt a lot. So for about 6 months, we were trying to figure out what to do because this is pretty devastating. We were just making it. And during COVID, you had nothing else to do but basically drink yourself stupid and cook food. So my next door neighbor is Cuban, and they gave me a sample of their mojo. And I was like, this is God's greatest thing on the planet. Thank you so much. And then I started putting that on everything. And then I ended up making beer can chicken. And this is the recipe that started everything, okay? So originally it was beer can chicken and mojo. If you've ever had beer can chicken, it's the greatest chicken recipe on the planet. Nothing gets better than that. Now, using my culinary background and me trying to think of ways to offset the loss in my paycheck, I was like, let's come up with a quick service restaurant idea. Before Uber Eats was Uber Eats, nobody was doing ghost kitchens or anything. So I created an entire ghost kitchen idea called Drunk Chicks Beer Can Chicken. That was the original name of the business. So it started as a business centered around beer can chicken. And through developing the recipes, the fun was actually in the sauces. So my culinary background, I started playing and testing recipes all day long. And basically we got to a point where it was like, that's the fun. This is the product. We have something here. My 13-year-old niece drew this logo at the time on her iPhone in like 3 minutes. And from then on, we had a concept and we had a business right there. The minute a logo comes into play, you know how it is with your bread man. So the minute you have a belief system, it's like take off from there. So we operated for 1 day as a ghost kitchen. And my wife and I looked at each other and said, there's no way we can do this and have a family at the same time. So we partnered with another restaurant and we got the whole concept up and running. But then we worked it for 1 day and we were like, there's no way we can work our full-time jobs, be a family, and run this restaurant concept. So she basically looked at me and said, you need to rethink your dream and then come back to me and we'll go from there. It took me about 5 months to rethink that dream. And basically it went back to the sauces. That's where all the fun was. So one day we made 50 bottles of the sauces that we had at the time. And we said, let's see if we can get some traction. We sold 50 bottles in like 4 hours.
What were the sauces that you had originally? What was like the OGs?
So the OGs are 4 sauces. It was the mojo aioli, which again, it was based off of that original mojo recipe. Then it was the honey mustard barbecue. So that's a mixture of my wife's honey mustard. It's about 60% her recipe and 40% my original barbecue sauce. And when we put those together, that means it's 100% of her recipe. So now My wife made the greatest honey mustard barbecue ever. All right. And then the third sauce, we needed some kind of heat towards it. So we created a buffalo sauce, but a unique flavor, which is unique to us. It's a honey buffalo sauce. So super creamy, nice and sweet. It's super different. And then the final sauce was something regional. We wanted it to be unique as well, but we ended up doing the Alabama white. Chicken in the Alabama white sauce, it's like peas and carrots. So we put the two, that was our 4 basic sauces, and it was all anchored by that original mojo aioli, which people to this day still ask us to make that sauce. So it had to get retired, and it's been great. So we sold 50 bottles in a day, and then 8 months later, we were going to a co-packer to basically recreate our recipes, everything FDA approved, and then something that could scale because we knew we had massive legs in the business. So the minute that happened, we got into a bottle. That was July 2021. And then from July 2021 to today, we were Drum Chicks Craft Sauces, and then our kids started getting older, and we said, we're family oriented. And Drum Chicks is our old business concept. You know, I held on to that. Maybe one day we'll open a restaurant idea. And then we said, no, we're going full into sauces. And then we said, let's bring something that's more appropriate to who we are today. And the nickname Chickadees is actually, it comes from my mother-in-law, who used to call my wife as a child. So all the kids were Chickadees. And I said, what screams family more than a family nickname that talks more about who we are? So from that day on, we've been Chickadees Craft Sauces, and things have been fantastic.
I think what's also great is the fact that you were drunk chicks in the sense originally of like they were chickens. And so it's like it still stays within the realm. It's not like you went like that far off and we're like, you know, like I'm cars and now I'm zebras. You know what I mean? Like it was like, so you still stayed in the realm, and it just makes sense with what you're doing. Now basically also your sauces are now like a flock of like every like family member of different styles of sauce, of like kind of like how your family would be.
Exactly. If you look closely at our logo, we still have some of the Drum Chicks remnants, you know, some bubbles, some nice little wonderful eyes, some drool, you know. We try to have as much fun as possible. This is the original drawing of the Drum Chick. So
that is
again,
hilarious.
From day one, she hit it off. It was awesome.
I love that, dude. I love that. So at least it gives me an idea, because I was wondering about that, like how that, like the name came about and all those things. I was also kind of curious on how, and I know you said it took me a few months, but I'm always curious on that whole transition of how difficult and how many iterations did you have to go through with your co-packer from like what your proof of concept of what you wanted or what you make and sold to then having something to the same quality, because obviously they make some things to make it FDA approved and all those things. Like how long did that process take for you to find the right co-packer that can make your product the quality and the way that you want to make it for your brand?
So it starts off with the connections that I already had existing. So I work with restaurants on a daily basis. That's my day job. I work with restaurants. So I got in touch with a few people that actually use co-packers. So I interviewed a few co-packers, and then basically they took my recipe, which went from a 1-gallon pot to a 100-gallon pot. And cooking at home is nowhere near cooking on scale. So you asked about how many times it takes to get it right. This is your biggest nightmare when it comes to that, because what you can make in a controlled environment, it happens very different when you start using larger volumes. So one of our recipes, and I have it documented, 17 attempts, 17 back and forths. Make a recipe, send it. Make a recipe, send it. And, you know, shipping is 3-4 days sometimes. So we're talking 8 months of going back and forth for one of the recipes. Now, the earliest I've ever had it was within 5 attempts. So until it's perfect, we don't put it out. And that's how we, you know, got the standard of the 12 national awards.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. We'll keep on with the story of it, because I kind of think that there's a good progression here, because you're obviously, like the first thing I think of and you and I've kind of briefly talked about this, like the condiment sauce market is like super competitive.
It's extremely.
I mean, it is like, because especially since a lot of times they'll put that same idea as like, oh, well, it's like hot sauce, and there's a bunch there, but then you're not hot sauce, you're a sauce, which is also like a condiment. So it's like there's so many different layers there. When you started, like, did you start farmers market? Like, okay, so like once you had it already packaged and you already had a packer, you're like, okay, I'm now I want to be able to start doing next things. So like, did you start doing pop-up markets, start going to like, I don't know, like showing up at like Williams Sonoma and doing like a sauce display? Like what were you, what was the next thought process of like, how the hell am I going to get this out there? Because I need people to taste it.
So you're going to laugh when I tell you this, but this is the God honest truth. I thought we had such a catchy logo that people were instantly going to draw to it. And my biggest fear starting was, hey, we're going to put this out on the internet. We're going to go viral. That doesn't happen. Not at all. Okay? Take it from me. If you build it, they don't come. So I tried as hard as I could to just post every single day, not knowing anything. All right? Just take a picture of the bottle, and I was like, oh, it's going to take off. Somebody's going to be attracted to this. Doesn't work that way. So basically, I was trying to find ways to make sales. And outside of your friends, posting with your immediate group, how do you find more sales? So my wife suggested to go to markets, and we started doing smaller farmer markets, and basically whoever got us in. And then over time, we started funneling which market pays out, which one has attendance, which one has return customers. Like, we started funneling real fast on which ones are the right ones to do. And we hit it hard for about 3 years. So when I say hard, I'm talking 40 plus weekends a year, So we were going out every single weekend trying to, do what we can. And some markets, you made $200. And then some markets, you made $10,000. And then your goal is to find out how many of those you can do. And then basically then we had to transition, because the demand for us were actually growing like crazy. The repeat business was fantastic. So we actually had to move everything online. And now we do maybe 2 markets a year, if that.
Really?
Yeah.
When you do the 2 markets a year, I'm assuming they're more like the national level markets. Are you doing like, have you gone into that realm yet, where you're like doing like the sauce or sauce food convention type conferences or whatever, and like setting up for market type of thing like that?
So we do 2 markets a year, like on paper. This is the things that I try to do because they're local to us, and it's very important that we keep our local presence. So the Christmas event in downtown Winter Garden, that is a big deal for us because, again, that's right there for me. And they enjoy having us there. So we've done that 3 years in a row. And then Mount Dora, the fall festival, has been the best show we've ever done, period.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. This lady named Janet, she is a phenomenal festival promoter, but I don't actually think we're going to be doing it this year because of how busy online has been for us.
Wow.
So it's unreal.
So especially since you say, especially since your growth online, I know like one of the hard parts, because you kind of already hit some of the things that a lot of people will say, like, oh, I'll just put my stuff out there and it'll just be, and then it'll be crickets. What have you noticed? Not that I want you to give me your secret sauce on how you do this, but at least give, if you can. I like it. You like it. But I do want to know, what is it like? What are some things that you think of or see when you like maybe talk to other small businesses and things like that you feel that is a missing, like the missing little tidbits that they're missing in order to get to the next stop? And I'm not even talking about like ads and stuff like that. I'm just talking like, let's just go fundamental, like social media. Is there something that you feel that people miss the mark on social when it comes to, trying to get growth or trying to understand like, hey, they need to do in order to do this and get recognized, or the algorithm to follow you?
Yes. And it's impossible to get somebody to change their mind unless they want to do it. And the hardest thing is putting this camera in your face. It's something that I struggled with for a long time, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, because people don't know you. They're not instantly drawn to something. You have to put yourself out there and hope that you start messaging properly, and then the traffic starts flowing in your direction. So you literally have to take that camera and just record everything you do. And it's You never know what's going to work.
Yeah. That is absolutely true, and it's something that I appreciate hearing, because I get tired myself of recording myself packing an order or doing things like that, or even wrapping shirts. And so I get it where you forget it, or even the fact that you have it on your phone already and all you have to do is literally just go in and just like close your eye. If you have a folder of your business, close your eyes. And then I sometimes will do this. I'll close my eyes and I'll just literally just like swipe until I get, and I'm like, and I just do a random pick and I'll be like, that's what I'm posting today, baby. And I'm like, because you just never know. And a lot of the times it's content that you've created that you just need to get out.
You have to tell people that you have stuff. That's it. Just tell people you got stuff, and then find ways to tailor that message where, then you actually bring value to the person watching what you're putting out. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. So I know we talked originally about the original 4 sauces, but I know you have more than 4 sauces now. So tell me a little bit about how it's evolved, because I know there's some that still have stayed, but then you've evolved, because like you said, you've retired some, but you have newer ones, and then you also have one that is your latest, the latest creation, the German curry ketchup. So give me a little bit about how that iteration of how you went from where you were to now what you're serving up if someone were to go to Chickadees Craft Sauces and look up to do some ordering.
So we still have the original recipes for the honey mustard barbecue and the honey buffalo sauce. With 7 national awards and constant reorders, you don't mess with a good thing. All right. So those have been original staples, legit from day one. All right. We originally had the mojo aioli and the Alabama white sauce. Now, both of those were mayo-based sauces. Now, in the original co-packer that we had only had 1 kettle. So 100-gallon kettle. The current co-packer we use have 10 kettles. And that company can take us national with 1 email. So if a major chain says, hey, we want you in every store, I make 1 email and they can handle everything. Now, with that transition, knowing the future of where we were going and how much sauce we were actually doing, we actually outgrew the original packer. The packer couldn't keep up with what we were doing. So, yeah, thank God for
good and bad.
It's a great, stressful problem. And to this day, I promise you, I still get emails saying, hey, I want that original sauce to come back. But we had to make sacrifices to move forward. Now, over sampling for 3+ years, we heard customer feedback. And everybody automatically assumes that when you're out at a festival, that you're a hot sauce, no matter what you do. And our entire brand was based off of condiments. We're actually a condiment company. We make a hot sauce, but we're actually a condiment company. So after listening to every single person coming up to me and saying, this isn't hot, and I'm like, that's the point. We decided to take the original mojo and create a unique experience in a hot sauce. So right here, actually this right here, this is the brown habanero mojo. I'm sorry, you got to get some glare on this one too. This is the original recipe, and what that is, it's going to be citrus, onions, and garlic, and brown habaneros. So the cool thing about the brown habanero, when I picked this pepper, I wanted something that was super different than everybody else out there. Regular habaneros are like sweet, okay? And Carolina Reapers were just hot. So for us, when we made choices, again, my culinary background says, be different, be unique. And on that sauce, that pepper is naturally smoky and earthy. So it's a little bit different than the standard habanero. And it's a little bit hotter too. So with the way we made the sauce, it was citrus, onions, and garlic. That's going to punch you in the face first with amazing flavor. And then right after that, a little delay, and then the brown habanero heat starts kicking in. It is a unique culinary experience. All right. So we created that. I think a lot of people tasting blind didn't know what it was. It was unique. Like, I didn't know how to communicate it. So when we had the original sample batch and we presented it to customers, we actually took 150 pre-orders about a month before it even came out. So to me, that was a massive success. Like, here's something that's super small batch and the customer responds. Awesome feeling. So we were onto something there. And then also the other thing we heard was you need an Asian style sauce. So then we created this sauce right here. So this is the sweet sriracha. So everybody knows what sriracha is. So sriracha is actually a technique of blending peppers. And so I worked for that food distributor, and I had industry knowledge that the pepper shortages were going to happen, and sriracha is going to be short on the market everywhere. So if you remember that was about 3 years ago, maybe almost 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'm on to something here. Let's find a way to take that same flavor profile and be different. Again, unique. So we ended up making an all natural sriracha and a all natural sweet Thai chili. And when you blend those two together, that flavor profile was something different than anybody's experienced. And that's how we came up with that sweet sriracha. Super different.
Love it.
Right? And then the final sauce is something that, again, looking at all the sampling we did in person, all the feedback, the customer basically said, I want something familiar, but I want something different. And I said, what is the most basic condiment on the planet? It's ketchup. That's something easily recognizable, but how do I make it unique? And then all my culinary travels comes to a recipe called currywurst. Currywurst is German street food. Okay. Mm-hmm. In 1946, this lady named Herta Hoher, my German's not even great, I'm sorry. But she created this by trading with British soldiers right after World War II. And they gave her Worcestershire sauce and curry powder, and she fed them. And when she made this blend, it ended up being an iconic street food to this day. Every street stall sells currywurst, and you serve that with some French fries, and it creates a unique experience in ketchup. So I said, how do I take German street food and put it into a bottle? So then I studied that sauce for a long time, and I said, that's it. Something basic, recognizable, but that's how we make it different. So we made our version of curry ketchup, our German style ketchup, and we put our all natural flavors to that, and we clean labeled it and put it out on the market, and it has boomed. It's actually our #1 seller, right?
That's great. That's kind of crazy, right? It's your last of the sauce creations, and the one that's kind of granted, and it makes sense. Like I would imagine, as awesome as that is, it's also got to be very difficult because I know because I've seen it on your social, and you do a really good job on pounding that aspect of the fact that we're all kind of like programmed to only enjoy one style of ketchup, or that one particular brand or style of ketchup. And yet for some strange reason, sometimes people don't want to get, I guess an adventurer on trying to try different flavors, and then realizing how much better it is when you actually, just like we like craft beers and we like craft coffee and all that stuff, like why not craft condiments and craft sauces? Exactly.
So putting yourself out there and testing it's scary. Okay, it's scary. And especially in a category like ketchup that hasn't really changed in 100 years. Nothing's been different. Everybody knows what red sugar paste tastes like. It's your standard stuff off the grocery store. Everybody knows the major brand. And going after something like that, it's scary. But as a business, you do what you can. And as a culinarian, you find ways to be different. And we don't use high fructose corn syrup. There's no seed oils in our products. So for us, it's like, that's an instant differentiation. But the flavor profile, that's what keeps people coming back for more. And that's what we stressed on the most.
No, and I've tried your ketchup, and it is absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
I laugh because before I had your ketchup, I had a version of a curry ketchup in Seattle. And the thing that makes me laugh is I was so excited because of the sauce, because of it, that I wanted to buy it for my friends.
Yep.
And I bought it, but I had it in my carry-on, if you know where I'm going. And TSA looked at me. I had like 3 bottles of it, and TSA was like, you can't bring this. And I was like, bro, I just spent all this money on this sauce, like, to bring to my friends. And they're like, we're going to have to throw it out. And I was just like, can you at least take it home with you? I'm like, it's wrapped. I was like, someone's got to enjoy this. Nice. So I'm glad now that at least I got another spot of how I can get it, which is through you, and I be able to have my friends be able to try it. So, but yeah, man, it is. I love when people are trying to do things that are different, and that's one of the things that has always drawn me to you, is because of like that, and also the fact that like how I will give you major props, because it can get very tiresome of trying to say the same message, but you say it in so many different ways of how to try to illustrate like the importance of, putting yourself out there, getting people to try your sauce, trying to, telling people the difference of what it is, of why you should be trying the, like, what you're providing and what you're bringing. I absolutely love the videos of people, like when you have like your I'm assuming they're meta glasses, or your, and that you're able to kind of get that initial reaction from someone. Oh no, I don't want that. Oh, I don't like ketchup. I don't want that. And then like actually getting to see them actually try it. I think you do a really, really good job with that. And I love what you're doing. I also obviously love the fact of like seeing how you put your kids to work. I love that as well, because I think it's one of those things where, and I don't know if you tell me something different, because I have a 17-year-old, and I think in her mind, this is normal, right? Like normal, us, like you having two jobs, having like working your day job, being the dad, but then also, oh yeah, by the way, we're also got to pack orders and we got to ship stuff out to the mailman and stuff like that. Like that's normal to them. Other kids, that's like not normal at all. But I love being able to the fact that you're able to instill that or show that to them, that it's like, hey, it's possible that I'm able to do my work and my passion, and and figure out a way to make it work, because it's really, that's what it comes down to, right? Is like figuring out how to make it work.
So my wife and I both grew up in small business family households. So watching our parents work their butts off, that was normal. My parents did transportation, and her parents did granite and also trucking. So we grew up both with entrepreneurial parents, and watching them work their butts off and provide for their family, although not massive amounts of money was made, like that work ethic was instilled in both of us. And, that's something we want our kids to do as well. Packing boxes is something basic. Like my daughter is the peanut master. Okay. She will pour the peanuts in every single box. That gives her joy, and that actually gives me joy knowing that she's part of that as well. My son, I get him to use his muscles. He's a whole 7 years old. So for him, grabbing a 5-pound box constantly, gets him a little tired, which is great sometimes, But no, we do the best we can to put him to work, to, and enjoy the things in life that we have. So yeah, that's something that we're very proud to share with them as well. And on top of that, these videos that I recorded them, this is just me looking back saying, hey, this is your memory book. It's a digital memory book for them. And you can go back and watch every video and say, hey, you were 6 doing this. There's a video of my daughter saying, hey, you didn't put the chickens in Publix. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, you got to put it in Publix so everybody can buy it. And I was like, that day is going to come where I can show her that video and say, you manifested this a long time ago, and we're here because of you creating that vision. That's something cool, and I'd love to share that with her one day.
So I'm pretty sure you and I have talked about this, and I know you've probably gone through it, but I kind of want our listeners to be able to listen and hear this. Like, so I know small business owners, we have often these moments where we question, like, what are we doing? Should I quit? Staying in business. And I kind of want you to I know for you, and I even, like, I saw it in one of your socials posting about it, like how you had a moment where you were teetering on, like, I don't know what we're going to do, and I kind of want you to talk a little bit about those moments. And then also kind of what was, when you had that moment where you were teetering one way, what was it? Because now you're selling at a higher rate than you were before. So I'm kind of curious, like, what was it that shifted? What was it like? What was the mindset shift, or what was the shift that actually, and I use the example of the pushing of the rock, and like, what was it that got you to the point where you're like, okay, I've passed the next threshold, I'm ready to go into, I'm at the next level now. What was it that pushed you there?
So I'll tell you what started the mountain and what turned into the valley. Okay. So that transition from fairs and markets to online is something that mentally tested me beyond belief, because I had responses and we were doing very well in the markets, but it also took us away from being family. So what happened is, again, I was doing so many markets. I was busy all day long. And then I said, this is not sustainable. So let's find ways to keep the dream alive and be different. So when I made that shift from in person to online, it was about 6 months of the scariest time of my life. And there was a point where I was spending and losing my butt off. And I hit a wall where I was like, I think I'm going to close. This isn't working. And I remember the conversation with my mom, because again, as a former business owner herself, she looked at me and she goes, you've put your blood, sweat, and tears in this. And she goes, this is going to work. And when you hit that wall is the minute you're ready for a breakthrough. And that's the scariest moments of owning a business, because that wall is going to come. It's what happens when you get to that wall. If you can push through it or you shut it down. And I almost shut it down. From that wall, and I can give you the exact date because I know it, it's April 18th. 2025. I remember that conversation. I remember everything that happened that day. It was that moment you were like, oh, man, I'm in trouble. And then just to, like a mom does, to pick you up, that pick you up conversation says, hey, just think about it differently. And I did. And it's crushed it since then. I've been so grateful for where we are today versus where I was then.
I think a lot of it is also that, like you said, the shifting of the mindset. And it's very easy to kind of look at the negative or be like, what's going on? But there's a reason why not everyone succeeds, because like there is a certain threshold that you got to crush and you got to go past. And I think it's so important to be able to kind of understand that as a business, because especially when you're doing something different or unique, that's kind of the big one is like, okay, you're going to have to listen to a lot of different things, and you're going to have to try to figure it out. Like, what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I want to do? And how can I actually go push through this to make it happen? So I definitely, I'm always intrigued with that to see. And like during those times when you had it, besides obviously having a good mom, supportive mom, did you have certain things that like the universe kind of like spoke to you and kind of you're like, even though you're like, man, this is like really crappy, but then you'd always get like do you ever get like those, like you would get like a moment where you're like, man, I feel like crap, or this is not what it is. But then you'd get like a little thing and on the come out of nowhere that will give you a reminder, like almost like whispering you like, hey, stay the course. Did you get things like that?
That's exactly what it is. So we're very strong Christians. For us, you don't hear the voice of God all the time, but for us, we hear it. And there was a moment where it was like, I got you. And when you hear that, you run to that direction all day long. And we've been blessed every single day to be part of this. You had mentioned previously about marketing and how you make your videos and all that stuff. And it sounds like the same message all day long. And you're absolutely right. There's only so many ways you can talk about ketchup. But when you look at everything from a data point of view and you say, hey, I said it this way and it got 1 second more. Well, you lean into that and then you find a different iteration of saying the exact same thing 1,000 times. So like for me, that's the fun. And then literally at that moment, it was like, just do more of that and then get better at it and get better at it. And that's the catalyst that changed everything. So I started seeing things from a different point of view. And again, without the grace of God, we wouldn't be here, because I legit would have given up.
When you say looking at it from a different perspective, do you look at it where, because obviously when we own a business and it's our baby and it's all that, you have a certain message, like, oh, this is the message I want to persuade. Did you talk to other people, or did you just kind of like take a moment? Because sometimes we're so close to things that you took a step back to kind of think of like, what is it that I would want to hear? Or what, if I was not into this business or industry, what is it that I would need to hear or understand in order to kind of become that customer? Is that like something that you had to go do as well?
So what I ended up doing is following every single sauce company on the planet. If you look at my social feed, it's only sauces. And the whole point is that if there's people better than me, well, there's reason why they're better than me. And then basically I tried to create my own version of something similar to that. It's a compliment to them, but at the same time, eventually I had to find my own voice. So I started in the beginning watching other people promote their products and how they did it and what got views and then I started applying it to myself. And then I said, well, what do the customers care about? And then I started tailoring the messages to specifically the customers. And the funny thing is the customers, they don't hold back anything, especially online. especially online. They won't say it to your face. I thought I had an amazing product in person. You get online, you'll find out every single flaw or every single reason why they don't want to. And then from there, it creates the next video and the next video and the next video. And if you watch the content on our page, then you'll see I literally respond to some of these people. And some of them it's super funny, and some of it's like, yeah, this sucks. You're right. And this is the plan on how we can fix it. But literally the customer is the reason why I learned how to communicate, because some people said, well, that product doesn't have this. And I said, okay, that's important to you. So I need to highlight why my product's different. You're right. I don't have that. That is what makes me different. And I said, all right. And then I started spending some money to find out how I can get their message, what they want to hear, in front of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's something that obviously, and you and I will talk more, most likely on offline. We've talked a little bit already on it. The importance of one of the things that you've seen your growth on has been using and advertising and using ad dollars. And I do want you to touch on that, because I do think that people, especially people like similar to me, where we're at a certain point where I feel we have a good product. We're just missing that next thing of like, where are we going to invest and put our money and time into to be able to take the next step to it? What, I guess, without going into so much detail, or at least can you provide some tips and tricks or things that they should consider when they're looking at going and investing money into their advertising? Is there something that even like the fundamentals of like, hey, if you're going to do this, I would recommend knowing this, and this, or something to that effect?
So I'd love to generalize it, but I can't.
Okay.
So it's very specific to your niche. So t-shirts and sauces, night and day, two different things.
Correct.
Although there's a similarity in the food, although we share a customer, it's actually night and day, two different things. So what I would recommend to anybody is that you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to lose. You're going to lose. And then the smartest business owner will look at the data and say, well, this is what worked and this is what didn't work. And then you're going to test again. And then you're going to find out what worked and what didn't work. And you're going to fail multiple times. But when you find that one winner, everything changes. One messaging, everything changes. And I'll tell you, when I hit that wall, I was losing my butt off because I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue. I literally paid tuition. And then the data started showing me the direction that I needed to go. And if you don't analyze it, you're just going to throw money away all day long. So what I started doing is tailoring things towards how can I maximize that $1 into advertising. It's scary. It's scary, and you're going to lose. So if you go in with the mindset that you're trying to find the winner, you'll find it. You just got to dig deep.
That was very good. I like to ask all my guests now to manifest things for themselves, and in your case, for Chickadees Craft Sauces. So I want you to give me an idea of what do you want to manifest for yourself and your brand.
So for myself, I wish that we just continue to be as happy as can be. Living life every single day and enjoying everything that God has given us is unreal. It's a blessing to be here every single day and to share that with everybody as well. You know, I have my abilities that I'm willing to share with everybody, and you have abilities that you're willing to share with everybody. And I think that's the beauty of being human. Now, manifesting things for the business, man, I got massive manifestations for this business.
Get it out there, man. Let's hear them. Let's put it out there.
Listen, I want to get massive. I want to put one bottle into the next customer's hand. And how do I do that? Is by spreading as much information as possible to tell people about me. And then when one person tries, they literally extend it to another person and we grow. And then I also grow the other way, which is I want to get into retail. Our biggest issue to this date is accessibility. You know, it costs a lot of money for shipping, you know, and realistically as a customer, I don't want to pay shipping either, but I also give food products a try. And for me, like, I'm willing to try new things all the time. If you see my house, I have thousands of different sauces because I love tasting things and I like things that are unique and different. So for me, being accessible is a massive game changer for me. So retail will help me do that. I would get to that point one day, but as of right now, my goal is to put one bottle in the next customer's hand and pray that they repeat buy because we have fantastic quality and they enjoy it.
I like that.
But
out of curiosity, go on. I'm sorry.
Massive goals.
Well, yeah. And I mean, is there any specific one you want to put out there just right now? You want to put a one that you would love to, any place you'd like to be? Would you like to, or we could just generalize it and say every major food store, like, place that sells condiments, you want to be there?
So obviously every food opportunity is great. But the one that would make me the happiest is that one that ties back to my daughter, that I can say, hey, you got us into Publix. The dream that you set a long time ago, it's fulfilled. I did it.
And that's going to happen. That'll happen. Yep. That's going to happen. So I do have a question. I do have a question on sauce, because I'm always curious, especially since you say you had so much sauce. And I literally just, and I actually just ordered a pack, like your pack of all your sauces, because all of them sound amazing and all of them sound great. But my question is, and I'm just kind of, and it probably is on the bottle, but I'm just going to ask it anyhow. When it comes to your sauces, do they have to, once it's open, is it, especially ketchup? I'm always curious about the ketchup question. It has to be refrigerated or does not have to be refrigerated once it's opened? So
we recommend, by USDA standards, that you put in the refrigerator.
Okay. That's what I was curious of.
Yep. And food safety. So with acidity laws, we're going to give you the recommendation. What you do with it, that's on you.
Yes. Okay. I like that. That's a good answer, especially with FDA approvals. I was just always kind of curious on that, because I was like, I know, because a lot of times you see when you go get ketchup somewhere, or you have ketchup at certain places, they're always out, and I don't think they ever go put in the refrigerator ever. So that's why I was curious.
Now, personal standpoint, that's on you, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Food science is food science. So acidity laws are acidity laws. It's up to you and what you want to do. But we, as a company, highly recommend that you put it in the refrigerator.
Okay. And then when it comes to, and I'm going to stick on the sauce part, since you've already kind of, you have like your a solid 5, you had the 4, you had like previous ones that you've kind of retired. How much, and I'm intrigued, because I think you and I talked about this, but I'm just intrigued as a creative person, as a culinary person as you are, because I love creating. So I love creating. My brain's always creating things, whether I'm coming up with a sandwich or I'm coming up with a new shirt that is inspired by a sandwich. How much of that is, or how difficult has it been for you to be able to go in the world of, hey, I want to create more sauces, to also the fact of like, hey, I got these sauces, I got to sell these sauces. Like, how do you balance that aspect of it to be have that creative outlet of like the continual growth of product line, but also at the same time staying true to your, like, hey, this is where I'm going, and I got to build this before I can add SKUs.
So the biggest restraint I have to have every single day is consolidation. And the reason being is that I can make 1,000 SKUs. I'm a culinarian. This is what I do. I literally make sauces every single day. Concoctions are what I like to do. That's fun for me. The problem I have is that comes with a dollar amount, and that comes with inventory, and that comes with, hey, how do you market this? So for me personally, 5 SKUs is a lot. I'm actually over skewed. Realistically, looking back, we should have only done 3 and marketed it like crazy. But we have one hero product that is getting massive amounts of attention. And there are so many legs that German style ketchup is currently. So for us, until that's exhausted, there's no point to overskew. I can do that from my own personal standpoint, and you can do one-offs all day long. But within that one SKU, there are things that I haven't even touched. Like we just announced half gallons, and I ran it as a limited quantity. I made 20 bottles and I put it out to the customer base, and I said, hey, do you want this? It's the same SKU, but I found it's the same product. It's just a different SKU of the exact same thing. And I found out that the customers really want a 64 ounce. We sold 20 bottles within a week, and that was crazy. Who wants 64 ounces of German style ketchup? Our customers do.
20 people.
And it's like such an honor to be a part of. But that opens the door to, hey, you still have restaurants. You still have food trucks. You still have Joe Schmo that is doing barbecue competitions. There's so many different avenues of that one SKU. And I have not exhausted all options. And I will probably get tired of something before the market does. And that's the cool thing about this. And that's the restraint you have to put on yourself.
No, I love that. And that's so true. And you're right. Like you saying that, as you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, like how many restaurants now can have your ketchup versus, and same thing with all these other places. Even like any restaurants, small stores, so many different options. What advice do you have for someone wanting to start something?
I have to use a prop for this. If you have this thing, you can be successful, and you have to believe that, and then just do it. It's scary. There's never a right time to do something. So you always are going to want to tell yourself no. But if you believe in what you're doing, then that phone is the one thing that can change everything about everything. You just have to try. And it's scary because people are nasty on the internet. I've seen some nasty comments. But believe in what you're doing and push through. It's difficult.
Okay, so we've kind of things that you've kind of hit on that I'm kind of curious, just like side things that I'm just curious of, because obviously you obviously enjoy spending time with your family, work a full-time job, also run a full-time business. Very similar to me. What do you do when you're not working? Like, what do you do for fun? And I know, yes, you enjoy what you're doing, so then it's fun. But I'm curious, like, what are the things that you like to do when you're not in the sauce game or in the food world? What do you enjoy doing? What's your guilty pleasure, or what do you like doing on the side?
So first off, what is time off?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
20 minutes here and there.
No, my family's biggest passion is Orlando City soccer. We also go to Disney probably once or twice a week. So we do the parks. We enjoy food. We love rides. And for me personally, Orlando City is my biggest passion. It's something I look forward to every single day. I dream about Orlando City just as much as I dream about the sauces.
Favorite Orlando City player of all time?
Right now it's Angulo.
Okay.
Ivan Angulo. Fantastic player. But all time, that's a tough one, man, because he's up there. I'm going to stick with Angulo so far.
Okay. What about in the past? Do you have any favorite players from the past that you like? Are you a jersey person? Because I see a jersey there with. I know it's your family jersey, like the name. But like, are you one of those that wears like the kits and like buys kits and stuff like that? And who do you have? What kits do you own then?
So I only have custom jerseys with my name on them.
Love it.
This is my son's announcement of his birth. We announced that at the Orlando City games. I met my wife at an Orlando City game. So for us, it's been a very big part of our lives for a long time.
Okay.
My closest friend group, all we do is go to the games. The thing I enjoy the most is with my brother. Going on the Wednesday games. Those are the best times for me right now. But that's the thing I enjoy the most. I carry the only jerseys are literally with my name on them.
No, I love that though. Always the same number?
Oh yeah. It's 18 all day for me.
Okay.
And here, funny story, my kids got to pick their numbers for their jersey this year. And without saying a word, one of them picked 10 and the other one picked 8.
Okay. That's awesome.
This is awesome.
I was like, I did it. Very, very cool, man. I love that. That's awesome. And then since you said Disney, I have to ask, favorite Disney food, favorite Disney ride?
Favorite Disney ride? That one is my family's favorite so far, which is Star Tours.
Okay.
And the reason why we say Star Tours is because there's like 400 different iterations of the ride. That's one thing that we're pretty much guaranteed to do. They don't go on roller coasters because they're 7 and 8, but Guardians of the Galaxy is a fantastic ride for adults. Favorite Disney food is hard for me, okay? I love trying everything new, and I will go to wherever it is that's new. So anything new, different, unique, that's what I like to do. So to pinpoint a specific thing, it's hard, man. I just had the school bread from Norway last week, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's different.
So I saw this one. I used to have Disney passes. I saw this hack or this Disney hack, but I think it'd be very interesting if you decided to make it. And then I'd like for you to use one of your sauces with it. And because it would need a sauce. So the hack that I saw was you go to Paris, buy the baguette, then go to the Americas, buy the turkey leg,
I saw
debone the
that.
turkey and make it into a sandwich, obviously.
Right.
So my question is, if based on that, what sauce are we putting on that sandwich? Which one of your Chickadees craft sauces are we putting on that sandwich?
This is a no-brainer. It's the German style ketchup.
Yes.
All day long. That sauce, when I tell you I go through a bottle a week myself, I legit go through a bottle a week because it has the familiarity of being a barbecue sauce, and it also has the familiarity of being ketchup. It's something different. And turkey is an open canvas. So anything like that, you're gonna, man, I'm drooling about this sandwich right now. But turkey's an open canvas. So imposing flavors of, like rich tomatoes, Worcestershire sauce, and curry powder, that's gonna rock your socks off. So that would probably be, you know what? I'm going to make a video this week doing that.
I would love for you to do that because I'd be curious. I was like, man, that is like a great, how did I never think of that? Because I used to do quite a bit of sandwiches or create sandwiches while I went to the parks. Any way I could figure it out. But when I saw that hack, I was like, oh yeah, when I get my Disney passes again, I'm definitely doing that. But if I do, I definitely will bring my sauce with me. I'll have to, you may have to come up with like a little travel size version of your sauces so that I can take around.
Invite me and I'll bring the sauce.
You'll bring the sauce. Okay, cool. We'll go. I'll meet at Disney and we'll split a sandwich and you bring the sauce. I love that.
So let me tell you something. So I film in Disney sometimes, and
I've seen you film at Disney.
Yeah. So what I do is I go to Germany and I buy a brat, and then I go to America and I get fries. And I make my own currywurst right there on the spot. And whenever I film, you get random tourists just walk up and like, what are you doing? And then I sit them down, and those are real reactions that I record. You've seen the videos.
Yeah, yeah.
And from there, it's just, hey, give me your honest feedback. Is this awesome or not? And the funny thing is like my close rate in person is crazy whenever I go to Disney and do that. If I have 2 people come up and try, 2 people end up coming and buying right on that spot. It's awesome to me. And it's just me going and doing what I love, which is Disney and some sauces. So it's fun to do. I'm totally going to do this turkey sandwich.
Please do. So Rudy, where can people follow you? Most importantly, where can they buy some Chickadee Craft Sauces?
So you go to our website, chickadeessauces.com. And then you follow us on socials at Chickadees Craft Sauces at Chickadees Craft Sauces. And that's, you get a hold of me all day long.
Yes, you DM him. He'll be the one responding directly to you. So definitely something worthwhile. Rudy, thank you so much for spending time with me, man. I really appreciate. It was definitely a fun lunch break. I love what you've created and what you're doing. I'm even more excited the fact that you will now be able to later on, when you finally get into the major retail outlets, you'll be able to listen to this and hear the manifestation that you manifested that talked about what it was, because that's the beauty of this, is how it's going to be. And you'll be able to then show another version of it to your daughter and be like, look what you did. Because I have the same thing. I actually have a Guy Fieri. It's like somewhere in the corner over here. I have like a Guy Fieri, one of those Funko Pops, because I told my daughter that one day I'm going to meet him and she's going to meet him with me. And it's going to be because of my brand, and he's going to autograph it and all of that, because I'm like, I just think it'd be a fun thing, because I think that's like the big get, right? Like, oh, look, I know who he is. Yeah. That's cool. So I'm really excited for you, man. I'm excited for what you've done. I'm really glad we got a chance to spend some time and talk, because it's not something we usually get to do. And I definitely I look forward to talking some more and having sauces and sandwiches with you.
I'm so down for that. When I tell you I'm very excited about trying this, that you have no idea.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. I want to see it. Make sure you leave a little shout out there, or at least tag me so that I can at least share it with everybody else, because I definitely want to be able to see it. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for Rudy of Chickadees Craft Sauces for being on Lunch with Biggie. Make sure to check them out online. Make sure to give them a follow. Definitely listen. 2 things I'm going to ask you if you're listening to this. Check out the sauce. Once you enjoy the sauce, when you go to places that you think deserve to have his sauce, you need to tell them. Nothing like the word of mouth. Just like he says, a hand in someone else. The word of mouth is the biggest thing in the world. So you listening to this, or even just being curious about this, Give them a follow, listen to them, look at the passion, look at the product. You're going to want to be able to have it. That's kind of how it works, folks. I want you to be able to keep on. Let's build this community and let's share it and let's kind of keep growing on this. If you want to support me, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.